Good morning, guys. Welcome to today's video. So today is officially baking day. Today is the day that I attempt to make a loaf of sourdough bread, okay? This is my first time working with sourdough. I've never made a sourdough bread before. At this point in my baking journey, I've made 2 loaves of like a honey whole wheat bread, but that's about it. So either way, I was pretty proud of that, but I'm just telling you that because I want you to know that I'm somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience baking. But this year, I made it my goal to have active sourdough starters, to work on that, and then to make a loaf of sourdough bread. So if by the end of this video I have actually accomplished that, then I will be so proud of myself. I will have reached 2 of my goals for the year. So we're gonna do it together so I can like walk you through what I'm doing or attempting to do, and we'll see how it turns out, all of that. I've been talking about it here on my channel now for like what I think is like a month. So I figured the day that I do it, you guys should be able to see it too. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you guys what recipe I'm using. I feel like the world of sourdough is so complicated because everybody has a different recipe. There's a million different that you can find. So I'm gonna link the one down below in the description box that I'm using. I'm using Farmhouse on Boone's No Knead sourdough bread. So I printed it out on my computer so that I could walk through like the steps. And the thing with sourdough too is like there's different steps to it, and like there's timing to it, and like you do one step but you gotta wait like 3 or 4 hours, and you do another step, you gotta let it rise, you gotta let it double. So I had to kind of go and like on my iPad last night I was like trying to figure out like logistics of timing, because today's pretty complicated because like we have plans to be out and about today. We're gonna try to go to IKEA, and so it's not like one of those days where like we're just home where I can just, you know, focus on the bread. So making sure that we can work on that. So because of that, it's probably gonna be a long baking day, and you guys are gonna see me probably like change my outfit 500 times because we're gonna be out and about doing different things. So I'm about to take the kids to swim class. I'm about to take Riley to swim class. So before we do that, I wanted to do the first step, which is feeding my sourdough starter. So first step is about 4 to 12 hours before you start mixing the dough, you wanna feed your starters. Mine have been in the oven with the little light on because it's nice and warm in there. That's where they kind of like hang out all day, and that's where they sleep. So I'm gonna take them out, let me show them to you. So because I'm very new to this, I have like 3 different sourdough starters. This is what they look like here. So I've got one that is made out of whole wheat. If you're new to this, starters, basically what they are, it's like the thing that you put in the sourdough dough itself to help it rise. It's like a form of like natural yeast, whatever. Point is, you need one of these if you're gonna make sourdough bread, and I've been working on them for like a month now. This one over here that I'm probably gonna use today is Jeff. He's like a month old. Like I worked on him for the longest time, and then the all-purpose ones I worked on a little bit less, maybe for like 3 weeks. I think one of these is like 2 weeks old, but it definitely took a while to like get them to be active, to get them with the bubbles and all of that, but they're officially ready to bake with. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed them because that's what the instructions say. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed them. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna discard a little bit, which means that you're gonna like take a little bit of this out, and then you're gonna add 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water. That's what I've been doing to feed them. If you guys are curious about making your own starters, I'll leave the account, the Instagram account that I was using to follow along her instructions. I've been following Ali Gooch and how she makes her sourdough starters. I will tell you, she has like a little highlight on her Instagram that says like sourdough starters. So follow that. For a very long time, I was hesitant or like resistant, you know, towards like using an actual food scale for measurements, like one of these. So I'll link the one that I use down below too. Very easy. It's just a way to measure things without like a measuring cup. So we measure things in grams. And there are conversions, like you can convert that into like the measuring cups, but I found that my starters started to like actually activate and stuff when I was using a scale versus not using a scale. So it's one of those things that it was like annoying because I didn't want to use it, but eventually I did, and I found that it worked better. So that's just my tip to you. So most people don't have like 3 different starters. Normally this process would be much faster, but because I'm new to this, I'm trying to figure out what starter is gonna be better for my bread and all of that. So I've been playing around with different starters and trying to figure out like, you know, once I start baking, I can experiment and see like, okay, what does the bread look like when I use it all purpose versus what does the bread look like when I use the one that's the whole wheat. So that's why I have so many. Normally you would just have like one. I did read last night though, I read that if you use a whole wheat, which is likely what I'm gonna use, the bread tends to not rise as high. So I am anticipating that when I bake it, you might not see it be like as tall of a loaf. So if I wanted like a textbook, like taller loaf, then I would probably have to use the all-purpose one. But we're gonna see if I can make something that's like a bread and crunchy and that I can slice, and I'll be very happy. All right, so I'm gonna turn my scale on and I'm gonna put water on these first. So I put the jar on and then I zero out the scale. So it says 0 grams. And then I have water, you guys, that I keep at like room temperature because like you want the water to not be like freezing cold, like out of the fridge. So I'm gonna measure out 50 grams of water and I'm gonna do the same thing to each of these. All right, we got our water, now let's do the flour. All right, so now that we have our water and flour, we're just gonna mix them. I like to mix them with a wooden spoon. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put them back in the oven, turn the little light on, and then they're gonna sit there until I'm ready to go with the next process. And the instructions say you can feed your starter like 4 to 12 hours before you start the process. So if they sit there, what you're trying to do is you're feeding your starter so your starter can rise and be bubbly and active before you actually start tossing that into the dough. And again, by the way, like I'm trying to explain to you as I understand the instructions. I'm not a professional. So if you want to watch her video or read her instructions, I highly recommend that you do. This is just me trying to show you that if you're like hesitant about like making sourdough, or if it's something that you want to do but you're like, nah, I could never do that. If I can do this and like there's something that remotely resembles bread at the end, I promise that you guys can too. So I hope that this video gives you hope. And I also wanted to mention that this recipe is the kind of recipe that we're gonna do the process today of like making the dough and all of that. At the end of the night, it's gonna sit in the refrigerator. So I'm not actually baking bread today. You guys aren't gonna see it in this video, but it's gonna be tomorrow. So it's like a 2-day process. It's like a process of doing the dough and doing the stretch and folds and getting it to double, getting it to rise, all of that. And then at the end of the night, probably with my timeline, like somewhere like around, like right before I go to bed, I'm gonna put it in the Banton baskets and I'm gonna put them in the refrigerator overnight. So that is my plan at this point. So hopefully these starters do well and all of that. And then we can see them in a little while when it's time to mix the dough. All right, so let's cover these guys up. It is 8:20 now. So I will see them in a little while and then we can go from there. All right guys, so it is much later. It is actually 4 o'clock now. I thought I was gonna start this process like at 3, but it is 4. So we're gonna go ahead and get to it. I can't waste any time. I'm gonna show you guys how my starters are doing. Get them out. They've been in the oven with the light on all this time, so they should be nice and bubbly. And this one is looking pretty good. So this is what we're gonna use today anyway. I'm gonna put the rest of them back in the oven and just kind of leave them there. Sometimes this one will get a little bit bubblier, so it's actually not as bubbly as I would like it to see it, but either way we're gonna use Jeff.
You need to start your artisan baker music.
Oh, I do need to put on my
Hey,
French.
Google.
I can't yet.
Play French baker stuff.
Joseph Buell. Joe is making fun of me right now because when I bake, I like to put on like French cafe music. So I'll tell like the Google thing that we have here to put French cafe music. But we're not there yet, Joseph. So I actually don't need the starter yet. I just wanted to check on them. So I'm gonna actually put them all back in the oven because we're gonna do a process that's just mixing the flour and the water and leaving it for 30 minutes. So let's give this some more time to rise. Why is this guy upset? No. Why are you mad? What are you doing to him? Okay, I don't have time to waste. I'm making my bread. I need you to be my sous chef, Joseph, and take care of the children really quick. He wants to give you love. Jackson, this is really difficult to do if you are in my hands. Okay, then Joseph, you help me. Come help me. I just need you to mix the flour for me. So we're gonna take the bowl and we're gonna put, what does he want? What is he looking at? This? This is empty. This is empty. This is from when we went to Hogwarts. Okay, bye. Bye. Okay. He's happy with that, then that's fine. We're just gonna mix 500 grams of all-purpose flour, 200 grams of whole wheat flour, 250 grams of bread flour, and then 650 grams of water. Now we're gonna let it sit for 30 minutes. So this is the bread flour that I got. So I'm using this one, and then the other ones, I can't remember the brand, but I've got my all-purpose here, and I have my whole wheat over here too. So let's just mix this up. 500 grams all-purpose. Okay, so this is the all-purpose. We've got 500 grams, and I'm like watching her YouTube video too. Like I've got it open here just to make sure that I know exactly what I'm doing. So 500 grams of that, and then we're gonna do 200 grams of the whole wheat. Okay, so that one was exactly 250. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in the water, and I'm just gonna take a little container. I'm gonna zero out my scale first. I'm gonna zero that out and then add some water. I'm actually gonna take a mason jar, and I'm gonna add the water in here first. Measure out the 650 grams of water. This is water that I've had just sitting room temperature for quite some time, and this is gonna be over. I think I'm gonna need more than this. So see if I can do 450, and then I'll do another 200. So I'm trying to just make sure that I don't go over too much. So this is 450. So I'll do this, and then I'll add another 250. And then I'm just adding this in, and that is step one here. And then I'm gonna just combine it and then let this sit for 30 minutes. So I've got my wooden spoon. I'm just gonna combine this all and then let it sit for 30 minutes. This is gonna make 2 loaves of sourdough bread, in case I didn't mention that. At some point you're gonna like divide it, and then you'll shape it into 2 loaves. So this is a lot of dough, but you're gonna get 2 loaves out of it.
How could this possibly matter? But flour doesn't fully soak up water right away, so this auto-release time really allows the flour to become fully hydrated. Then add your mature sourdough.
Oh, thank you.
I let that slide. It's okay. It's kind of a game for my daughter. She likes to make us get it perfect, but it's okay.
Can I see the mix?
Flour temperature, warm water on your scale, and then add that to and you could just add it straight in, but like what it's where sometimes you can't take back out. So if you do have a heavy hand,
Mama, our ice
that
is
really
free.
wouldn't be.
Okay guys, I've been over here mixing the water and the flour, and I don't know, it doesn't look the same as hers. Like, I mean, I imagine that it's combined, but it just looks like, I don't know, it doesn't look the same as in her video. So I'm gonna leave this for 30 minutes, but I feel like not all of the flour is like incorporating. Like, should I just like use my hands? Is that what I'm supposed to do here? I might just mix it with my hand for a little bit, just to make sure that everything's kind of combined, and then I'll let it sit. I don't know. We're off to a rocky start. Okay, so that's what I've got, and this is what I'm gonna let sit here for 30 minutes, and we'll see what happens. All right, so it is now like close to 5 o'clock. I've been letting this sit here, so it doesn't look much different. We've got the water and the flour, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna finally add the sourdough starter and the salt. So the next step on the instructions, and like I feel like I look at the instructions and like watch the video 15 times. Hello, Riley.
Hi.
What are we making? Sourdough? Do you want to see the dough? Look, that's the sourdough. So we're gonna make some bread. You're gonna touch it? Is it squishy?
Yeah,
Okay, all right, thank you very much. All right, so
that's very good.
it smells very good. Excellent. All right, so we're gonna add the sourdough starter, which is 200 grams of mature starter. So I've got Jeff. I'm so happy we get to finally put him to use. And then I have pink Himalayan salt. That's the salt that I'm gonna use. I think I should have enough. So I've got my bowl on top of the scale. It's zeroed out, and we're gonna put 200, I feel like I'm gonna mess this up, 200 grams of the starter in here. And let's see. All right, Jeff, don't let me down. Like, are you supposed to use all of your sourdough starter? Like, am I supposed to like have saved more of this? Because I barely am gonna have anything left in here. All right, there we go, 204. Thank you very much, Jeff. All right, and then it says to dimple it in with a wet hand, so maybe I can try to do that. All right, dimple it in, meaning just kind of combine it. Dimple it in with your wet hands. I don't really know what that means, but I'm just kind of pressing into it. Let's get it off the scale. Just kind of pressing it into it, because then I still have to add the salt. And then after I add the salt, we're gonna be mixing the dough with our hands again for like 5 minutes. And I probably shouldn't be wearing bracelets, right? I also shouldn't be wearing press-on nails. Fun fact, I never wear press-on nails, and I told you guys on Instagram the other day, I tried out some press-on nails, and like 2 days ago, I was baking cake pops with Riley, and all of a sudden, like a couple hours passed, and I'm like in the car, and I realized that I'm missing a nail. And I can't remember if I lost it while I was baking, or if I lost it like when I was like putting the kids in the car seat, what the heck happened? But there was a chance that they're in the cake pops that we made. So I feel like baking bread is not really good with press-on nails. So we're gonna hope that they stay on during this process. All right, let's do the salt, and then we can get our hands messy again. Because like I'm here getting my hands messy, and then I gotta put the salt. So 20 grams of salt. I'm just gonna measure this out again with my little scale. So we've got that, and we're just gonna add, it's just a sprinkle of the salt on the top. So we've got the sourdough starter already there, and the salt, the dough, the flour, the water. So now we can mix this with our hands for 5 minutes. And then after that, we're gonna cover it up, and we're going to just let it rest for like 30 minutes. I am seriously so curious, you guys, like how many of you have ever attempted anything like this, like bread? How many of you guys make your own bread? Is this something that is like scary to you, or that you have no interest in, but you're somehow still here watching this video? Or it's something that maybe down the road you'd like to experiment with? I never in my life thought that I would be somebody to make, oh, there goes some of the dough, to make sourdough bread, or just bread in general. Like, I didn't grow up, like, God knows, like, I love my mother, we all love Mimi, like, we love her, but I didn't grow up with Mimi ever like making stuff like this. Like, my mom doesn't like to cook. Even my grandma, like my mom's mom, like Nana, does not like to cook. Like, nobody in my family really ever taught me how to like bake and cook and spend time in the kitchen. The kitchen has always been seen as kind of like a burden, which is hence why like I hate to cook now, but I'm learning slowly. And I feel like that was one of my goals this year, is to really just get out of my comfort zone and learn how to feed my family and make things from scratch. And it's been very satisfying, honestly. Like, when I learn how to make something and I make like a delicious meal, or I make like the 2 times that I've made the loaves of bread, it's like, wow, like I can do this. Like, God forbid there's no more bread at the store. Like, if I have some flour and I have some water and a couple other things, I can make bread and provide for my family that. And it's just a really cool feeling. So yeah, I'm just curious, like, how many of you guys have done this, and if you have any tips, feel free to share them with me. Here, in terms of mixing, like, I don't really know technically, like, what's the difference between kneading and mixing. Like, it says no knead sourdough bread, but here I am still like mixing the dough. Is that kneading, or am I doing it wrong? Like, I don't know really much of the terms. All I know is that I'm trying to combine everything. It says to mix it for 5 minutes. So I'm hoping that I'm not like messing it up by like touching it too much. But if I didn't have to like touch it, then why would she say that I have to mix it for 5 minutes? So I don't know. This is, again, like the first time that I'm using this recipe. So in the future, like, if I can find like a simpler recipe or another recipe to try to see like which one I like better, then I will definitely do that. It's not like, oh, this is the only recipe that I'll ever use, but it was like the one that I was able to see like the recipe plus the video, and I like her. Like, I watch her YouTube videos and stuff, so I figured that she would be like a good place to start. Farmhouse on Boone. I'm already exhausted from doing this. Like, I should not be winded from just like moving some dough around with my hands. But I think that's all I'm gonna do to it, you guys. Like, again, like, I'm just scared that I'm messing it up. So I'm gonna just cover this with some plastic wrap for 30 minutes, and then like once it's combined, the rest of it is just like letting it rest. And then we're gonna do some stretch and folds where we're like, you know, taking the dough out and stretching it. And I think that's supposed to, like, I don't know, help create air pockets, or I don't know. This might be the ugliest sourdough bread you've ever seen in your life, but again, like I said at the beginning, you've got to start like somewhere. You have to be okay with like, you know what, the first time might suck, the first time might be awful, and then you learn and the next time it's not as bad. Or maybe it is, like maybe my second time will be bad too, but you've got to just kind of do it and go for it. Otherwise, like you'll never do anything. So that right here is what my dough looks like. Again, doesn't look exactly like hers does, but we will see what happens. All right, I'm just taking a little bit of plastic wrap so that, I think the reason she said you use plastic wrap is so that it doesn't get like a hard crust on the outside. But this is what the dough looks like right now. So
Can I touch it?
No.
Why?
Because no. So again, it's like 5:07 now, and that's what that looks like, and we'll see what happens in a little while. Okay, so I am gonna cover it, but I do remember her in her video saying that she takes her bowl and she puts it like by, she has like some kind of like a fireplace, a wooden fireplace or something in our house that stays warm. So I'm just gonna put this in the same place where I have the starters in the oven with the light on, to see if that warmth helps, because in case I didn't mention and you're new, we live in Virginia and it's been freezing over here, which like has not helped with all of my baking because the temperature in my house is pretty cold. So let's see if in there it's happier and it does what it needs to do. All right, so it is 5:48 and it is time for our first stretch and fold. So the way that the recipe reads, I'm just taking this out of the oven. The way that the recipe reads is she recommends doing like a total of 6 stretch and folds, and I'm gonna show you how we do that. But the first 3 are done 15 minutes apart, and then the next 3 are done half an hour apart. So I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do here, and then in 15 minutes I'm gonna come back and do it again, and then we'll do that, you know, following the increments until we reach the final 30-minute one. And then after that, we just have to let the dough rise. So let's attempt a stretch and fold. Let's see if we can figure this out. All right, so we've got this dough, and I want you guys to like actually be able to see it. So let me see if I can move this at least a little closer. So we've got the dough over here, and basically the stretch and fold is just a process of like taking the sides, from what I understand, right? Like taking the sides and lifting it and then folding it over on top. So we're gonna do that. I think she said that she tries to do it like 4 sides on, like 4 times on each side. And you're doing this to give like the dough like air bubbles. Again, this is me trying to absorb the stuff that I'm reading, that I'm learning about. So let's just grab some pieces and do this a few times. See, like the dough is pretty stretchy. I'm trying not to like mess with it too much, but we're gonna do this like 4 times on each side, and then we'll put it back in the oven. That's kind of satisfying. Kind of like making a giant Play-Doh ball. Oh, well, see, like it's already starting to like break apart. Is that a bad sign if it's like breaking apart like that? Like when she does it, it's like so easy to pull the dough and doesn't break apart like mine. So I don't know why that is. Again, I do have to remember that I'm using that whole wheat starter, so it can be maybe a little bit different in like the dough formula. So I have to make sure not to like completely compare it to hers. But I'm just gonna do this a couple more times. Just kind of lift that like that and then fold it right over on top of the dough. I think that's gonna be good for this one. So I've done it a few times, and I'm just gonna, at this point now, just let it sit for 15 minutes, and then we'll do this again. Okay, stretch and fold, second time. Okay, so we've been at the stretch and fold for a little bit, and now we're at the point where we're doing it every 30 minutes instead of every 15 minutes. So it's 7 o'clock, so my goal is to do it at 7, at 7:30, and then at 8. And then after that, we shouldn't have to do any more stretch and fold. So Riley, do you see something you want? All right, guys, so it is like 8 o'clock now. We're gonna do my last stretch and fold here. And then once I've done this stretch and fold, then I don't have to do this anymore. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let the dough, like I'm gonna sit it out. I would like to get it into the oven, not to bake it, but just to do like the whole like putting it in there with the little light on. But we had pizza tonight. We preheated like pizza for dinner, so the oven might still be too hot, so I'm not sure if that's gonna be a good option because I'm not trying to bake this just yet. But either way, I'm gonna let it just sit, and the point is for it to double. And I've googled like how long does it take for bread to double, and like I get so many different answers, but I'm thinking like within 3 hours. Like I think 3 hours will be good. Obviously I'll be checking on it, but if it's 8 now, I can check on it like at, you know, I'll do interval checks, but my goal is like at 11, maybe tonight. Like we stay up late, so it's not a big deal. Then I can check on it, and if it's doubled, then I can do like the final piece that I gotta do to get it in the refrigerator. I feel like I've been thinking like whether or not, like the timing wise, I know today was like a weird day, but this is like how we learn, right? So I'm thinking that the next time that I do like a loaf, I may just like start the process in the morning, because in the morning, I'm pretty sure you guys saw like my sourdough starters were very bubbly and active in the morning. So I feel like I didn't really technically need to feed them again. Maybe I could be wrong, but this is just me thinking to myself. I feel like I probably could have just started the whole like mixing the flour and all of that in the morning and just kind of like expedited the process. But I don't know, I'll definitely keep you guys posted. Once I figure out the best method and like my favorite recipe, I'll definitely be sure to share that. But this is, like I said, the first time that I'm doing this, and I wanted you guys to see in real time like me, like my first thoughts, first impressions of making sourdough. This is actually very soothing now. I feel like the longer that it's like sat out, the easier it is for me to like manipulate it and like stretch it. Like at the very beginning, it was very much like, I don't know, like I feel like it couldn't stretch much. I don't know, maybe that's me just, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Maybe I still don't know what the heck I was doing, but whatever. I think that I've been able to at least do some of these, and hopefully that'll help. And I can already tell that the dough is like starting to get bigger in size and like volume. And it's just so funny because like I'm so nervous that this isn't gonna work out. And like I was like staring at it over here, like while I haven't been doing the stretch and folds, I'm just like watching it. Like I know you can't like watch bread because that's small torture there, but I don't know, I'm like scared that it was gonna get burned. I was scared that nothing's gonna happen, but we shall see. I'm glad that at the very least you guys are here and we get to do this together. So I think, my friends, that is gonna be it. Should we do like one more? Maybe this was like the most boring vlog, but I hope again like that it just inspires you to do something different, you know, do something that you've been scared of trying to learn. Maybe it's not bread making, maybe it's, I don't know, like sewing or knitting or something, something else old lady-ish. Just find something that you've been wanting to do and try it out. And you're probably gonna suck at the beginning, but then you'll get better. So that's my little pep talk to you guys today. So this is going to be covered. Let's put it out. Let me check the oven and see if it's still like hot. Are you still hot? Yeah, it's still a little hot. So I'm just gonna set it out. I'm just gonna leave it where it is here for now. And then we'll check on it in a little bit and see if it doubles. But just so you can see, like this is where it's at now at like 8 o'clock. We'll see what it looks like in a little while. All right guys, so it is much later. It is 11:50. It's 11:49, but it's 11:50. Joe and I were just filming our Q&A, so we've been doing that. We watched some Yellowstone, and now I need to get this bread in the oven, or not in the oven. It's in the oven now. I need to get it in the refrigerator before I go to sleep, but there's still like a couple things that I have to do. So I put it again in the oven to see if it would double with the little light on in the oven, keep it a little warm. I don't know. I don't really see that it's risen too much, but we'll see. So I'm not quite sure if this means that it has doubled. Like it's hard for me to like know where it was beforehand, but this is as good as it's gonna get for today because literally I need to go to sleep. So this is the dough. So the next step that we have to do is we have to split the dough, and we have to make the 2 loaves of the dough and then cover them and put them in the fridge. So when I saw her do this in her video, I mean, she puts it on a surface. So I need to like clean this. I'm gonna get a little, oh, I almost spilled all of my water. That's fabulous. I'm gonna clean off this surface so that way I can put some, like, I can put some flour on it and all of that. Let me smell this. So far the dough smells pretty good, but I've got one Banneton basket. I think that's how you say it. I've got one round one, so I'm gonna put one of the loaves in here when we put it in the refrigerator, and the other one I think I'm just gonna put in a bowl and see if that works out. I've got this one here, so first let me just clean the surface off because I'm gonna be putting the dough on, and then we're gonna use our little scraper tool, all of that. We're gonna make little dough balls. Okay, so I don't have like the perfect workstation, but we'll make this work. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour onto here so it doesn't stick to the counter. This is the part that I'm like, Joseph, shield your eyes because this is a mess and he would not like to see this, but like, how else are you supposed to do it? Like, baking is kind of a mess. So I'll clean that off later. But we're gonna literally just take this dough and we are going to put this over here. I kind of have to scrape it actually out of here. If it would like to come out, that would be wonderful. It's like totally stuck on here. All right. I feel like it's definitely not as like risen or as doubled as high as when I watch her video. So I don't know. I feel like it could be taller, but I'm trying not to touch it too much. Let me just watch the video one more time. Okay, so I'm gonna take this little tool here that I got with the Banneton basket, and I'm playing her YouTube video in the background so you might hear it. I'll link this set that I got down below in the description box. It came with this Banneton basket, another one that's like a little bit more narrower, and then, wait, no, pause this video, I need to know that part. And then it came with a little scraper tool, so I'll just link it in case you need a set like this. But I'm gonna divide the dough in half. That's something that she said to do with this thing. And is that gonna even, like, I've never used this tool before in my life, so is this even gonna work? I don't know. I don't wanna deflate it too much. Hello? Are you working? Okay. All right, cool. So we've got two pieces, very good. And then what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna kind of make like little balls. We're gonna put some of this dough under and form some dough balls. And then this is what's gonna sit in the fridge. Am I doing this right? Who knows? We will only see tomorrow when I bake it, but this is kind of what she does in her video. And of course, my phone runs out of battery. So I cannot watch her video. So we're just gonna keep doing this. Okay, so I feel like those look pretty decent to me. I'm waiting for my phone to start up again so I can watch her video again and make sure that that's all I have to do. But then we're gonna transfer them from there. I think I have to do some, like, I have to seal the seams or something, and then I can put them in the basket. Okay, so at this point, now that I have those two separate loaves, I'm supposed to leave them out for like 30 minutes so that they can develop like a skin. But I don't have time for that, you guys, because it's like midnight and I'm exhausted, in case you can't tell. So I'm just gonna finish like putting them inside the basket. I have to do like one more thing. So she says that you're supposed to flip them over, and then, so flip them both over, and then you've got to do one final thing with the dough. So you've got to pull like each side in, so like the corners just kind of form like a little seam, and then that kind of creates a little tiny dough ball. And then you're just doing that, I think, something like that. Does it look like a loaf of bread? I don't know. So using the tension or something or another to create like a little dough ball. I think that looks pretty decent for my first one ever. So we've got that one, and then I'm gonna do literally the same thing here with this one. I am so nervous for tomorrow. I just hope that, I mean, at least it's edible. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be super tall or anything like that, but I would like to at least be able to have bread. After all of this effort, that would be nice. So you've got this, right? And then you've got the seam side, which is on the bottom, and the top side on the top. I've got the Banneton basket. She says to like put a little bit of flour on it. So I'm just gonna like sprinkle a little bit of flour on it so that it doesn't stick to the basket. And then you've got to put it seam side up. So I don't know, I guess I'll do this one in there and just put it seam side up, and then we're gonna cover it. This is what's gonna go in the fridge. So I'm gonna do that, and then the other one that I'm using, I don't have a Banneton basket, but I have a bowl with like a kitchen towel. So I'm gonna do the same thing there. Just sprinkle a little bit of flour on it, I guess, and then put it seam side up as well. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the loaves, and then I'm gonna put them with saran wrap. I'm gonna put saran wrap on both of them, put them in the fridge, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow though, the process is not nearly as long as today. So I've got my Dutch oven already out here and washed. This is the one that I got for Christmas. So I made sure that it's nice and ready to go for tomorrow. And then tomorrow, all I have to do is like, I have to preheat the oven with the Dutch oven inside for like an hour. And then I'm gonna do some of like the little scoring where you do like the pretty designs on it. And then after that, you literally, it looks like, sorry, I'm reading the instructions. You bake it for 20 minutes. So that's it. So my goal is to go to church in the morning. Well, not in the morning, we do like 12:30 mass. And then after that, when we get home from church, do that so that we can have some nice sourdough with like our later lunch, maybe dinner. But yeah, so far so good. Think something here might happen. So thanks for following along today, and now I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll see if this has risen and if anything is going to happen here that even remotely looks like sourdough. Okay, goodbye. All right guys, so it is the next day. Today is officially baking day. We just got back home from church, so it's like 2:30, which means that the dough has been in the fridge for like 14 plus hours at this point. So the first thing we've got to do today is we've got to preheat the Dutch oven on 500 for an hour. So I actually didn't realize that I have to leave it in there for a whole hour. Joe's looking at me like, really?
You mean you have to heat the oven to 500?
I have to, yes, I've got to put the Dutch oven in there for an hour. I was like, oh, I'll come home from church. It's not going to take too long to bake because I wanted to have sourdough for lunch. Like I wanted to like make a sandwich. But I'm gonna have to find something else to have because it's 2:30 and I haven't eaten. But regardless, we're gonna even see if our oven goes to 500 because we were talking about it in the car. I was like, oh, I have to preheat the oven to 500. It should, you think? But either way, I showed you guys this yesterday. So we've got the Dutch oven, and I think I put the whole thing in there at 500 and preheat with this thing inside. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get this thing really hot. So let's see how high this thing goes. Will it go to 500? I would imagine it will. So it's 2:30 now. I'll pick up the camera at 3:30. And then we can start scoring the bread, and then we can bake it for 20 minutes. Oh, and now that I'm reading the instructions too, you've got to bake for 20 minutes. Why are you laughing at me?
Because you need to read that like.
Do you know how many steps there are to this? Like, this is my first time. Like, you know, give me a little grace here. So you bake for 20 minutes at 500, and then you're gonna take the lid off of it, and then you're gonna turn the temperature down to 475, and then bake for another 25 minutes. So again, it's a process. So I'm hoping that at the end of this we get something out of it. Otherwise I'm gonna be a little bit bummed, but I'll see you guys in an hour, okay? All right, so it's 3:21, close enough. I cannot wait anymore. So I'm gonna take the stuff out of the fridge. I'm actually just gonna take out this one, the one that was in the Banneton basket, because I can't bake two at a time. So I have to do this one first, and then we'll go from there. I've got to do the same thing with the surface, so I got to put some flour here because I'm going to score it. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do here? Let me just put a little bit of flour on the surface. And then I have to find my razor because I did, the razor came with the little Banneton basket set, but I've never used one of those before. So I'm hoping I don't cut my finger off. I don't know, I have like this thing here, but this is the actual razor. So I think when I watched her video, she just kind of cut into it with the razor. But again, I have to be very careful that I don't slice my finger off because that would be tragic. so I'm just gonna flip over the dough. Let me put you guys down here so you can see better. So let's see, I'm pretty sure that she just put this down and then put a little bit of flour on the top of this, just so that the little pattern can stand out more. I don't know, maybe that's too much. We're gonna go with it. I also feel like this did not rise like at all, but I shall see when we bake it. All right, so I'm gonna do the little, or I'm gonna try to do the little design that she did, which is like a wheat pattern. So again, you don't have to do this at all. I just am gonna attempt to make it look a little bit cute. And I've never done this before, so it's probably gonna look very odd. Just to give it a little bit of flair, I guess. And I know that there's like a real reason why you do this, not just so that it looks pretty. I think it's too, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie to you. But we're just gonna go like this. Looks like a little wheat. And then I think she opened hers up too and did like this thing like that. So we'll go with that. So now I've got to get this into the Dutch oven, but I need to get some parchment paper. So we're gonna put parchment paper in the Dutch oven, and that Dutch oven is gonna be super hot because it's been on 500. So yeah, we're gonna try to get that in there without burning my hands. And then the first time in the oven is with the lid on for 20 minutes, I believe. 20 minutes with the lid on. Then I take the lid off and bake at 475, so a little lower, and bake for 25 more minutes. So let's do that. All right, in you go, little bread. I hope you bake. And by the way, I think this cast iron that I got, I don't even know that it was supposed to get up to 500. So I think that may be a lesson for moving forward. Like, I feel like it's burned from the outside. I feel like I didn't read the instructions for like how hot this particular one can get. So I may have messed it up. But, we'll see. All right, wish my bread luck, babe. Let's go in it. All right, guys, the timer went off. It's like the moment of truth. I'm so excited. All right. Okay, so it's a little burned, just a little bit. But look at that. Let's take him out. Let's take him out. Oh, man. It looks so pretty, though. All right, guys, that right there is my first loaf of sourdough. Again, this was with a whole wheat starter. So I don't know, I'm gonna try it. It looks a little bit crispy and burnt. Oh, this whole thing is gonna be burnt, isn't it? I'm so sad. I just touched it and it feels hard as a rock. So does that mean that I'm not even gonna be able to like slice it? Like, is it just a rock solid thing? And now I'm getting sad about it. It looks pretty though. I mean, it looks pretty, but it may have cooked a little too long, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna try to put it on a cutting board and see if I can chop them open. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Again, it's not very like tall, but I'm gonna slice it open, see if at least it tastes good. I also have that other like dough that I can put to bake if this one is like too hard. But that is what this one looks like. I feel a little bit better knowing that I have like a backup in the fridge that I can put to bake and maybe like watch that one a little bit better. So that it doesn't get as cooked, but let's slice this. It is very crunchy, that's for sure. That's what the inside looks like. You guys, I made bread, okay? I made sourdough. I mean, it's not hard as a rock inside, so I'm pretty sure I'll be able to eat this. So that makes me happy. Check that out. I mean, it's got holes and it looks really nice. Like, you can see like the heat coming off of it. So I'm gonna put some butter on this and see if I make just something that I can try it with. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna cut just like another little thin slice, more like if I was gonna do like toast. And again, it's really hard to kind of cut into it because the outside is so crispy. But I just want to put like a little bit of butter on a slice. I'm also probably using like the wrong knife. I don't think I have like an official bread knife, which is something that I'm gonna have to do. But I've got just like a little slice like this. And I've got some Kerrygold butter. I'm gonna put that on there and try it. It smells really good. It smells really good. So there's that. Definitely the next time around that I make this, I'm gonna make one batch with the all-purpose flour just so I can see what the difference is in terms of like how it rises, how it tastes and all of that. Let's try it. It's really good. It's really good. I just feel so proud of myself that I made a loaf of sourdough. I'm like gonna cry tears of joy right now. This makes me so happy. Look, I did it! I did it! I made a loaf of sourdough! Sorry, this is a very happy moment here. So if I did it, remember, you guys can too. Okay, you guys are probably gonna hear like the ants go marching on, the song in the background. But I got a little bit of this Mount Vernon elderberry jelly from one time that we went to Mount Vernon. So good, my favorite jelly. And I put it like right on top of the bread with the butter, and it tastes so good. So that's really all I have to share with you guys. I really just wanted to walk you guys through my first attempt at sourdough. Now that I've done it, I'm gonna continue and tweak it and learn, and I'm excited, but like just to know that I'm able to do it, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just huge. Thanks for being here with me and doing this with me together for the first time. I'll probably bake my other loaf tomorrow at some point, but that's gonna be it for today's video. So I love your freaking faces. Thank you for being here. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. You want a piece of bread? You want a piece of bread? Yeah? I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.